You have to be careful about making a weird show or watching a weird show.
Hello, this is Greg Smalley on Pod 366, a Weird Movies podcast. Joined today, as I often am, by the irreverent Giles Edwards.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing badly. However, no, hope you're doing well.
Oh, that was almost irreverent.
There's only so far I can go when I'm dressed up like this.
Yeah. Okay, well, we have a pretty light slate of movies to discuss this week. There are only two Blu-ray releases, one movie and one TV series, and a little piece of news that expands upon a movie not really news, but an interview that expands upon a movie we discussed briefly last week in conjunction with its premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we have more time at the end, we might just discuss Giles's latest viewing of a relatively new movie, Kill the Jockey. Since he just published that, it's probably still fresh in his mind.
Yeah, it's pretty free. I think I saw that less than a week. Yeah, that's right. I watched that Sunday and submitted the review later that afternoon, so less than a week.
And I will say my voice is a little weak today, so if I cough or lose my voice, just bear with us.
Yeah.
Let me bring up the very slight slate of movies we have to discuss there. And we'll come back to that. You can see them, right, John?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's, it's only one very striking image and two backs of boxes.
Yeah. And the other thing, now, what can you see now? Can you see my screen or?
I see three images, or
three images. Okay, I have to stop that share and
no, for the website.
Another share. And let's just get into this before we. And there's not much to get into, but we're just going to kind of summarize. Todd Rohal gave an interview with Variety about his movie, one of the movies, 7 or so movies we spotlighted at TIFF to look out for. His movie, of course, called F, My Son. And the Variety headline for his movie, or the interview, is, "Can TIFF survive F, My Son? The director hopes his X-rated movie can save Hollywood if he isn't arrested first."
No.
So he's being a little hyperbolic there, but we shall see.
Hopefully, yes.
We do have an image here that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
On your screen. You want to describe that, Giles?
We have an elderly woman here, fairly white hair done up in a modest beehive do, large framed glasses that she needn't worry fall from her neck, as they are affixed to a pearl little loop around thing so they can rest on her chest, and she'll have some classy pearls, some prominent gold tone earrings, a purple, looks like a floral print, we can see a little bit of it, with some thorough lace work, about I'd say 2.5 inches deep of lace work around the neck there. She's in some interior room with some modest clutter, unlit cigarette hanging from her mouth, and perhaps most dramatically for this image, she is wielding a snub-nosed revolver in her left hand.
Indeed. Yeah, so that must be, I'm guessing, that's the mom who wants to find somebody to F her son. As we described the plot of this movie, just in the very brief synopsis that we were shown, or that was released on the website, is simply that this woman wants to find somebody to have sex with her son who is grotesquely deformed in some way. We don't
Yeah,
have.
there's a line here. Fabian is a mutated beast covered in warts and pus with a Lovecraftian penis that's always in motion.
There you go. So that could be hard to find a date for, but there's somebody that's into that.
Oh, it's all sorts to make a world, kind of.
Yeah, it's a very, somebody's into every kink. So I don't know. There are any look on FetLife and maybe you can find the Lovecraftian penis people looking for that.
That's right. She might not be as internet savvy as might be useful for her, but
Yeah. Yes. So I guess she has to go the old-fashioned way.
yeah.
Some takeaways from this interview. His first quote is, "It's just garbage. It's made by trashmen for trashmen." That's Todd Rohal describing his own movie as garbage, which the Variety scribe who wrote this up suggested might not be the best pitch to distributors, but maybe it is. He seems very proud of the fact that it's trash. We will. It's interesting that he's releasing it with an X rating, which is not a real rating anymore. There is no X rating anymore. It was superseded by the NC-17 rating.
Which also doesn't exist anymore.
Does it not?
I'm pretty
I
sure.
just think they don't give it to anybody because nobody submits.
Yeah, let's see.
I think they just choose to release them unrated now, but they could get an NC-17 if they wanted.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right there. I don't know.
That's my
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I haven't seen one for.
No, they don't. Nobody when it would get an NC-17, they just release it unrated and
Oh, yeah, we got it. By the early 2000s, the MPA also began applying rating explanations. NC-17, which reared its head, X replaced since 1990. So NC-17 instead of X since 1990.
yeah. But the reason he's using the X rating is to bring up put you in the spirit of a John Waters movie who released movies in X, or the something like Thundercrack, which I think would have been released in X. Those underground movies made before the 90s, between the very late 60s and the late 80s, that would have gotten an X, those underground movies. So, and he does have we said, I always wonder, our last week, I said, I always wonder what's going through somebody's mind when they give a movie a title like Fuck My Son. And he answers that rather directly. He says, everyone says, you can't call the movie Fuck My Son. But whose rules are we following now? Who's saying you can't do this stuff?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
You're not my mom.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not going to be distributable. I'm not saying you can't do it. You can do it.
Yeah, it seems it's a fun little interview thing that you excerpts from, and it seems he was fairly regularly having to dare himself to finish the project.
Yes. Yeah, it seemed like he wasn't into directing all the sex and nudity. It sounded like he took it as a challenge to himself because he wanted to.
As an artist.
Yeah, as an artist, right? Because he specifically quotes or cites John Waters and George Kuchar as the forebears of that. The other interesting thing to take away from this is that he definitely wants this to be a movie people see in theaters, and he says it's actually not made for streaming. He says he wants this to be something that's in theaters, that plays at midnight, if that is possible, if theaters still exist. We're not looking to sell it to Netflix. We want it to be something it feels like you want to sneak into if you're underage, something your parents would be mad at if they found out you saw. So they want it to be in theaters, and they have some scheduled dates at IFC Center in New York, and Alamo draft houses will be the places you will be able to see this, and then it will doubtlessly end up on streaming where you shouldn't see it, according to him. But
Yeah, and I like this line around where you've just quoted, every investor that put money into this, the intention was, just something that plays in theaters. And I would actually not just talk to the filmmaker about this. I want to talk to the investors who backed this project with its particularities in mind.
yeah, that would be an interesting interview, an interview with investors. Yeah, why did you put money into this? Um, And the other interesting thing is he cites similar movies or movies that he thinks might have similar distribution prospects or strategies are
Yeah.
movies that we've discussed quite a bit. The People's Joker and Hundreds of Beavers, in both cases we've interviewed the directors there. So that is the upcoming F My Mom, a little more information on
F my son.
F My Son, yes.
You're thinking of the sequel? Get on that.
Leave
Get
my
the
mom
investors
alone.
lined
Leave
up.
my mom out of this. Um, my son. All right. Now let's get into. We're going to do this one first because I believe neither of us have seen it. I did some research and know some things about it, but I haven't seen it. Do you want to describe what we have here, Giles?
Yeah, I'll do a
Right
very
image first, I guess.
very quick. This is the front and back of a Blu-ray thing, I'm guessing. Left-hand side, we got some screen captures, some blurbs, all the little Blu-ray disc, copyright, blah, title, ISBN code. On the right, though, we have this beautiful grayscale thing with the title centered and in with some letter work that maintains the motif of the topic. And this is on a dizzying, eldritch background of all manner of different permutations of spirals and geometric to organic form happening there. I'd say just quick tally here. We're probably looking at least 24 or more different spirals, all kinds of surging and interlaid. And if that spiral motif I'm talking about hasn't tipped you off what this is, well, you're probably not familiar with the material.
Yeah. Okay, and the back cover quickly.
We got it's black and white too, except for a couple corporate what's-its. We got some six stills here. We got a cityscape looking bleak in black and white. We have a young woman who's a more grayscale, lighter haired individual. Oh, I'd say it's almost a coy look she's giving at the camera. To the right of her, finishing at the top row of three stills, is a young man with a fairly close cropped hair, wears glasses, very serious expression on his face. And then so we got town, girl, and boy. All right, so far so normal. And then on the second row, we have far left. There is an older gentleman with glasses, black hair, concerned look. His eyes are kind of pointed down near his nose, no doubt at his tongue, which seems to have extended considerably out of his face, and is forming a spiral. To the right of this gentleman with the long tongue is a different young woman than before, black-haired, has bangs, wide open, concerned eyes. There seems to be a tiny centered, what's the word I'm looking for? Blemish on her forehead there. That closer inspection will indicate is forming a spiral. And let's see, I'll zoom in here. And on the far right, there's a younger fella, casual shirt, maybe work-related shirt, looking down at maybe a wash tub, some sort of basin, wide-mouthed cylindrical basin with some liquid in it. And wouldn't you know, the current in the liquid is forming a spiral.
A lot of spirals.
A lot of spirals, which is odd because the title only mentions one.
Yes, the title we believe translates to spiral of this Japanese. We just assume it translates to spiral. Uzumaki, which you might know was made into a live action feature that is on our apocryphally weird list.
Yeah, I think it was '04 thereabouts.
Yes. And so this was made into a 4 episode anime that played on Adult Swim. And Giles got another pizza delivered, but
No, I have a copy somewhere
oh,
of the source manga, but oh well, it's
yeah.
disappeared, probably down a spiral somewhere.
Ah, yes. Well, yes. So it was made into a live action film, which was at least a moderate success by our standards, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then they announced, well, we'll go into a little bit of history. Before we do, let me just describe this release a bit. It's a one Blu-ray with 4 episodes. I believe it totals about 2 hours of running time. I think they're about 30 minutes each episode. Black and white. That's the Blu-ray. The cover I have here is actually the Steel Ray version. So that's an alternate cover. You can also get the regular Blu-ray for a bit cheaper, but for those Steelbook folks, there's that. So some background on this. This adaptation was announced something like 5 or 6 years before it actually, episode 1 saw the light of day.
No.
And then, as I understand it, people saw episode 1 and they were blown away. It was a great adaptation of Junji Ito's story about spirals infesting this Japanese town. And then there was another long delay while they waited for episode 2. And then some words came out from the producers apologizing for the delay and kind of giving some ominous hints that things weren't going well. And then kind of the next 3 episodes trickled out, and they were of greatly lesser quality than the first episode. And it has sort of been speculated. You can find some discussion of this on YouTube from people who are far more into this stuff than we are. But the speculation seems to be that the producers, got their budget. They blew it all on episode 1, or the vast majority of it, thinking it's going to be such a hit, they'll give us more money. And they didn't get more money, and they had insufficient resources left to finish it. But they did sort of limp to the conclusion. And I think people do say the first episode is really great, and that after that, it gets a little disappointing.
Oh yeah, and scanning the Wikipedia article about this, it says the fourth and final episode credits neither Nagahama nor Moriyama as director and omits the title entirely. So something collapsed
Yeah,
hard.
yeah. So yeah, we don't know the inside story on what happened. Like people point out, the trailer looks really great,
Yeah.
but all the clips are from the first episode. So
That is a pity because I could see, having read it, the movie does a good service too and covers a lot of the ground. I could see this being up to 6 half-hour episodes in a nice black and white anime style would be probably perfect for it. But I guess we will have to wait for that.
we'll see if anybody ever does it again. But that's Uzumaki now on Blu-ray. And of course, you can always see it streaming, I'm pretty certain.
Yeah.
Let's go to the other Blu-ray release of the week. Would you like to describe this back cover?
Sure. We got a back cover here. Bottom third is special features and credits and all that. Top third is mostly a blurb with on the right-hand side a blank spot, I'm guessing for a pending ISBN code or something like that. And we got to the left of that one picture and below that 3 further pictures. Top picture left, there's a very distressed, bearded, mustachioed guy with frazzled hair, doubtless driving a car, sitting behind the wheel, and it looks like there's a bullet hole in the windshield centered right in the middle of his forehead. This person is still alive. That's worth mentioning for this one. And then going just below it, we see the same mustached, bearded gentleman, tan surfer suits, and he seems to be angrily speaking to a left-hand guy who has one of the most chiseled, square jaws I have ever seen, with a look that would be perhaps more intimidating if he weren't also wearing a Santa cap
Mm.
during this encounter. To the right of that, is that one image? It's two.
Two. Yeah, that's
Two. Right of that, we have same bearded mustache tan guy looking a bit frantic on a payphone with some blood coming from the upper right-hand side of his forehead. Not a bullet wound, but doubtless a cut or a bump of some sort. And to the right of that, a couple guys who look kind of cheesy tough
mm,
with another mustache thing going on. Looks like salt encrusted hair. They're standing in front of either I don't know, a little bar or a clubhouse or some sort of beachfront
mm.
property thing.
Yes.
Lots of sun.
Lots of sun. It's a very sunny movie. The gentleman you see in 3 out of 4 of these stills you'll probably recognize.
Oh yes. Well, it's Nicolas Cage
It's
as
Nicolas Cage. And
with his
so,
300 features is very recognizable.
yeah. And so that would mean that this is probably the Blu-ray version of The Surfer, which is a movie I'm going to recommend to everybody who's watching. Weird movie lovers are, even if you're very just weird movie tolerant, I think this is a good one. It's a good crossover movie because Nick Cage, of course, is always fun to watch, and this is one of a string of great performances that he's had. Great bonkers performances. Not really as it's not bonkers as much as Mandy or something like that, but it's Cage being Cage.
Yeah, under the direction of Lorcan Finnegan, whom I had the pleasure of meeting some years ago after his Vivarium,
Yes,
great
Vivarium,
at Fantasia.
also a recommended movie. I think this is more approachable for general audiences than
Oh yeah,
Vivarium was. Um,
yeah.
we'll discuss on this Blu-ray the special features audio commentary with director Lorcan Finnegan, a making of documentary called Through a Wave Darkly, and the trailer. Also, they're really bragging that they have a digital copy, which is, I don't know, I guess.
I really like the diagram which shows all four major formats of computer from desktop to laptop to tablet to iPhone or
Yeah,
to smartphone.
yeah, I don't
It'll
really want to watch this on my
across all of them.
smartphone. Let me read you if I can, um, the text from the back. Can you read the text from the
Yeah,
back?
I can. I got it. In Lorcan Finnegan's surreal psychological thriller, a man, Nicolas Cage, returns to the idyllic beach of his childhood to surf with his son, only to be thwarted by the locals' hardcore quote, "Don't live here, don't surf here" rule. Bitter but determined to surf his beach and buy the house nearby where he grew up, the man suffers tribulations of body and soul that push him to his limits. A meditation on punishment, temptation, and salvation. The surfer burns deep.
Okay, so I'll just give you the kind of Cliff Notes version of the plot. I think it's kind of easy to avoid spoilers on this one because in the end, it's not entirely clear what happens. Maybe that's a spoiler in itself, but it's one of those movies, where it's got an ambiguous ending and therefore it's hard to spoil. But the basics of the plot is Nicolas Cage is obviously an American who has married an Australian woman, had a child who's grown up to be a teenager, gotten divorced. Now he's come back. He wants to buy a property on a cliffside, a mansion overlooking this great beach. And this great beach is near where he grew up, apparently, as a child. Although he didn't ever get an Australian accent for some reason, who knows. He brings his son to surf around Christmas time at the beach. Christmas, of course, it being the southern hemisphere, being very hot out there wherever they are. And as he's attempting to surf They are right underneath the location of his family home, which he's hoping to buy. These locals, a local gang of surf toughs, tell him beaches for locals only. Bully him, refuse to let him surf, make him back down in front of his child. He retreats. Now, as it goes on, he keeps trying to go out and surf and defying the gang of toughs, but they, aren't easily defied. They steal his surfboard. He gets beat up a good bit, and he ends up in this kind of parking lot rest area that's above the beach, a public area, with his car. His car battery dies. He loses his cell phone, and he's very quickly kind of destitute. And he's getting all these little nicks and cuts from various things, like stepping on a bottle or battles. And so he's living out of his car for a while. In this little rest area type place, there's also a bum who is living there, living out of his car. And that bum is much older gentleman who has also been bullied by this gang on the surf and apparently has been living there for many years after his dog was stolen by the gang and so forth. And this seems like it's going to be Nick Cage's destiny if he does not find a way out. Meanwhile, he's trying to buy the house, but there's some kind of financial problem. He's on the phone with his broker. They're having trouble getting the money over. And then, of course, he loses his phone, so he can't contact anybody. So it looks like he's not going to get to close on the house anyway. And so, meanwhile, this gang actually is kind of a manosphere type cult of tough macho-ness. And they are bullying Nicolas Cage badly until, does he decide better to join them or continue to try to defy them and be his own man and follow his own path? And he has a lot of flashbacks and some hallucinations, and it all goes to a kind of psychedelic climax, and then you have that ambiguous ending I was talking about. There are a lot of similarities I found to The Swimmer, the surfer, the swimmer, a swimmer about a middle-aged divorced man who's kind of in denial about how far his life has fallen. He sees himself as this great, successful bourgeois man, and as he continues throughout the movie, it's more and more revealed that he is a little more flawed than it appears at first. And so I saw a lot of similarities there, which the director has admitted. And one other thing, as I was watching in preparation for this, I watched Mark Kermode's interview or review of this, and he mentioned similarities that he saw to Dostoevsky's The Double. Now, I didn't see these, other than there being sort of a doppelganger presence. I didn't see anything that was really like The Double per se. So he's either seeing something I wasn't seeing in it, or he's talking about it a little more loosely in that there's simply a doppelganger in it. So that's that. I think this is a movie that would especially appeal to Giles.
Yes.
Nick Cage and weird movies. And
Cage, Falling Apart.
They're both
weird things.
there. And he loves Falling Apart. And
he's good at it.
so that is The Surfer. Of course, you can always watch this on VOD. You don't have to buy this Blu-ray. One last thing I'll mention is I really love the soundtrack on this, which is kind of a Surf Exotica soundtrack. Not exactly what you would have expected, but there it is. So that's that. Any thoughts, Giles? Or did I
Well,
just
once again, I can only almost borderline apologize for not having seen it yet. I will.
You will see it someday. Maybe we'll have when the Steel book comes out. Maybe
Oh yeah, when the Steel Co Full K Ultra book, yeah,
we
yeah.
can have a back and forth discussion about it. Since we do have a little bit of time, 8 minutes, would you like to tell folks about the last movie that you reviewed, which is also available on VOD for folks and should be on DVD and Blu-ray relatively
Yeah.
soon?
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk a little bit about Kill the Jockey, directed by Luis Ortega. And the Spanish language title is just translated into The Jockey, but I can understand. Yeah, I don't object to the change in name, as it alludes to, some famous new wave noir kinds of things, shoot the piano player. And indeed, one of the main plot points is the murdering of the titular character, who is this jockey. And my review is up, and I spend a first small paragraph talking about this troubled horse that's being transported from Japan to Argentina in a strange confinement on an aircraft, and it's obviously not liking what's going on there. And it had this look of confusion that I really related to.
Mhm.
Um, because yeah, in one way, this is sort of a straight up, okay, so mob, sports figure, gotta, you know, they're in debt to them, and problems gonna arise, end up being, on a hit list trying to flee. And there is a lot of that. But simultaneously, there's this other far more mystical thing happening to the main character. The still you have up now, which we described a week or two ago, which has the jockey lying across with his head resting on the belly of that's his lover, fiance woman, and they have fallen out of love, and he inquires what he would have to do to have her love him again, and she says d something to the effect of die and be reborn.
Mm.
And he agrees to those terms.
Did you
Um,
ever find out, Giles, what brand of cigarette she's smoking there?
oh gosh, yeah. By the time I was watching, I was so distracted with
Ah,
the movie that I didn't do a still frame. But I'm gonna guess nothing local because yeah, that's Argentinian production here. So who knows what broad universe of possibilities exist there that aren't in New York State, certainly. Um,
now, you did say I mentioned from the trailers it's clear that the guy is some kind of drug addict or multiple substance abuser.
hmm.
What is it that he's drinking, but what is it that he's actually taking in the movie?
Well, it's yeah, the movie the first scene is this actually great sequence of him gearing up for a race. So you have a wonderful montage of the whole jockey thing before going out on a horse, which I didn't know anything about. So it was neat to learn that through this montage. Toward the end of this, he had his own extra step after, getting to the various points to be checked in, his way in with his gear and so on. He gets to his locker after having popped into the veterinary clinic's supply cabinet for some ketamine in not a vial, one of those little Surette kind of thing. And he has in his locker, he doesn't have much. He has a tumbler, glass tumbler. He's got a bottle of whiskey, and he's got a pack of cigarettes and a lighter. So he
What brand
pours
of
the
cigarettes? I'm sorry.
again. Oh, this again. I'm looking elsewhere. So he pours the surette of ketamine into the tumbler, and then he tops it off with about a couple fingers of whatever very cheap looking whiskey he's got there. And then he starts his cigarette and exhales it into this mixture, which provides one of the neater looking images that you can see on the trailer. It becomes this sort of
Looks like dry ice or
yeah, dry ice smoke effect, but he downs the smoke and the liquid below that. So he is on a bit of booze, certainly a fair amount of ketamine, which is a fascinating uh, psychopharmacological thing that has anesthesia powers, but also can induce euphoria and can induce not, borderline hallucinatory effects as well. It's a very strange drug, and he's on plenty of it.
it can
Uh,
also make you want to buy a Tesla. So,
And well, it's gotten, yes, it's more famous hereabouts than it was a few years ago. That's for sure. But this guy looks like he's been on it for a while and has only recently become problematic for him as his mind is collapsing due to this regimen that I suspect he does rather regularly, not just before races, but probably also just daily. So yeah, he's falling apart and kind of embraces that, and yeah, ends up hospitalized after a race,
all right.
and then his true story begins.
I have another question because I think I saw it in the trailer and some other reviews might have suggested it. Are there dance numbers in this?
There are, yes, there are at least two, maybe three scenes of not quite incongruous dancing, but yeah, he's there's a sort of lady jockey locker room scene that has not quite dancing, but certainly very choreographed integration of the, 8 or 10 women there as they ready themselves for, the impending race. And there's a scene between Remo, the main character, the titular jockey, and his lady, because as a sort of mafia golden boy, he's coddled a bit, and so they put up with a lot of his stuff, like ketamine and dancing as well. So yeah, there's a little dancing, and you do see that in the trailer. Covers most of the scenes where that happens. And there's some magical realism later on, and yeah, all told, I was not expecting anything this bizarre from the trailer.
Good. That's promising. Argentinian and what would it be? I'm kind of getting the feeling that this is one that starts out rather normal and just gets like takes a turn in the middle.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say that's yeah. Once yeah, the first act is, setting up the character, setting up the scenario. And then once the second act starts in the hospital, that's when things that were never quite normal. There was always a little odd flourishes around the corners, but they start getting particularly strange once he's heavily concussed.
Mm. Okay, so that's one I certainly look forward to watching. So we have two very good weird movies from 2025, one of which I've seen, one of which Giles has seen, and we've discussed them uh, in a one-on-one way. Um, Next week, I will be gone for the next 2 weeks. Penguin Pete Turbovich will fill in. I'll get you guys some things to talk about. One thing that you will be talking about will be the upcoming Fantastic Fest
Oh,
slate.
good.
Another festival to preview movies from.
Keep him coming.
And there's some good ones there that at least one good one I've already seen. So, trailer's been released too. You'll like it.
Cool. Well,
Like
we are
it.
just about out of time, I think.
Yep. So, like, subscribe, watch the end, buy our book, and so forth, so on. And see you next. I won't see you next week, but Jack.
I'll see you next week. Until then, good luck out there.
All right. Bye bye.
Weird. Yeah, I guess that is the word for it. Weird.